今天的话题绝对炸裂，马斯克的人工智能公司 xAI 刚刚推出了最新版本的 Grok 3，他号称这款 AI 比地球上所有的 AI 都强，甚至强到有点吓人。大家好，我是墨镜姐伊丽莎，先赞后听，好运不断。我观看了马斯克的简朴的现场的发布和演示，我们可以看到，这还真的不是马斯克在画大饼，也不是吹牛。根据最新的测试结果， Grok 3的运算能力比前一代强10倍，在数学、科学、编码等标准测试方面都击败了 ChatGPT 和 DeepSeek， 还有超强的推理能力，甚至能让 AI 展示自己的思维过程。但这还不是最炸裂的， AI 真的会让钱变得没有意义吗？马斯克提出了一个超颠覆的想法，当 AI 和机器人能生产一切，人类还需要金钱吗？他甚至认为 AI 可能比人类聪明99倍，到时候我们只能祈祷他们对我们仁慈一点。还有个超狂的争议，马斯克怒批现在的 AI 太政治正确，甚至连美国开国元首的画像都不敢画白人。他担心 AI 会学会撒谎，甚至影响人类决策，这让人想到2001年太空漫游，细思极恐。不只是 AI，马斯克还想拯救人类，他的无聊公司正在打造超级地下交通网，不但能解决城市拥堵，还可能是地震时的终极避难所。这场 AI 革命到底会把人类带向天堂还是地狱？今天这期我们就来听听马斯克在世界政府峰会上的最新访谈中亲自聊他的疯狂计划。记得点赞订阅，开启小铃铛。
To artificial intelligence, and I'm sure you've been seeing what DeepSeek has done and all the claimed achievements that they've had. I know that we've been speaking for a while about Grok 3 and that Grok 3 is going to be a true disruptor in the AI space. When are we going to see that? And what capabilities can we expect from Grok 3?
Grok 3 has very, very powerful reasoning capabilities. In the tests that we've done thus far, Grok 3 is outperforming anything that's been released that we're aware of. So that's a good sign. It's in fact, at times I think Grok 3 is kind of scary smart. And you're like, wow, this thing's smart. It's kind of scary. Grok 3 is scary. It's like, wow, this thing's, it comes up with solutions that you didn't even think were, like you wouldn't even anticipate, not obvious solutions. So Grok 3 was trained with the most amount of compute, and I think very efficiently trained. Also notably, Grok 3 was trained on a lot of synthetic data. So, and then it goes back and forth through the data and tries to achieve logical consistency. So if it's got data that is wrong, it'll actually reflect upon that and remove the data that is wrong, that does not concord with reality. So its base reasoning is very good. In fact, even without fine tuning, Grok 3, the base model, is better than Grok 2. So we're really in the final stages of polishing Grok 3. Probably it gets released in about a week or two, so pretty soon. I don't want to be hasty in the release because a lot of the final polish is necessary for a great user experience. So in some ways you can think of it like a house. That last 5% where you finish the drywall and do the painting and the trimming, even though it's not much work, it transforms the house.
Yeah.
So it's that. Just want to make sure that last 5% is done really well, and it's a week, maybe 2 weeks. I think it'll be very good, and I think this might be. We think it'll be better than anything else, and then maybe this might be the last time that any AI is better than Grok.
Looking forward to it. Everyone's, I think, excited about it. So I just want to touch upon a topic that was quoted in the media. You offered, I think they said a group that was led by you offered $97 billion for acquiring OpenAI. I personally
take a little round numbers.
So I was personally involved in the meeting that you and Sam hosted in 2017 in LA, if you remember. And at that point of time, you were the single largest shareholder. I think you contributed 50 million to the company. So it must hurt.
I don't have any shares, actually. I have no shares in OpenAI.
But at that time, it was a non-profit, right? And it must hurt that you need to pay 97 billion for something that you paid $50 million for in the past.
Yeah.
But I have a
yes. Fate loves irony.
So I have a specific question here. Can you actually build a company like OpenAI and take it to the scale that you want to take as a non-profit? Is it possible that you build a company that requires billions of dollars in compute capabilities to build these models while being a non-profit? Or was it wishful thinking in the beginning and then you guys parted ways because it couldn't work?
Well, I mean, I think the evidence is there in that OpenAI has gotten this far while having at least a sort of dual profit, non-profit role. What they're trying to do now is completely delete the non-profit. And that seems really going too far, I provided all of the funding for OpenAI in the beginning for the first almost $50 million for nothing as a nonprofit, and it was meant to be open source. And so, I think this is analogous to like if you pay if you fund a nonprofit to preserve the Amazon rainforest, but instead they turn into a lumber company and chop down the trees and sell them for wood. You'd be like, wait a second, that's the exact opposite of what I donated the money for. So OpenAI is meant to be open source, nonprofit, and now it is closed. They changed the name to closed for maximum profit AI. Closed for voracious profit. I mean, they were like, whoa, are they after money next level? So why does this change need to occur?
You said that Grok 3, hopefully in 2 weeks, is going to be the most powerful model yet. I know that you've been at the forefront of many technologies. Where do you think the biggest economic returns of these models are going to come from? Because currently we're spending billions, and I think you mentioned this before, it's like the gambler syndrome. We're going and spending billions and hoping to pull out a profit at the end of the day. Where do you think the biggest impact in terms of returns are going to be?
Well, I think once you have humanoid robots and deep intelligence, you basically have quasi-infinite products and services available. So with Tesla building the most advanced humanoid robot, then those humanoid robots can be directed by deep intelligence at the data center level. You can say you can produce any product, provide any service. There's really no limit to the economy at that point. You can make anything, provided, like I said, so I'm not sure at that point will money even be meaningful. I don't know. It might not be. Because the economic output is productivity per capita times how many people do you have. If in the form of humanoid robots you have no meaningful limit on the number of robots, and the robots can basically do anything, then you'll have a sort of a universal high income situation. Anyone will be able to have as many products and services as they want, with the exception of things that say have artificial scarcity, like a particular piece of art or something like that. But for any goods and services, they'll be available to everyone.
So you've been...
It's going to be a very different world, In fact, I recommend that people read maybe the Ian Banks, The Culture books, for a frame of reference. Because money is really like a database or an information system for resource allocation. But if you don't have a scarcity of resources, it's not clear what purpose money has.
Have you watched the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
How do you guarantee that we don't end up in that world if we don't need money, if AI can think for us and do all these tasks, if, as people, we're dependent on something else to run the society and everything around it, how do we not end up in that world? In the long term, I mean.
Well, I think Idiocracy was basically saying that if smart people don't reproduce, but only dumb people do, then everyone's going to be dumb. I mean, that's basically what it was saying. That's the opening sequence of Idiocracy. The first 10 minutes are amazing. And I hear people unironically say the statements that are said in the opening sequence of Idiocracy, where they don't have they're too busy with their careers to have kids, and they keep postponing having kids for their careers until they're too old to have kids, and then they don't have kids. And I've heard many people be like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we might be headed to a bimodal human intelligence distribution, where there's a small number. It's kind of maybe more like Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, where you've got sort of a small group of very smart humans, but then maybe the average intelligence drifts lower over time, potentially. Because we have assortative mating, in the last few decades or several decades that did not exist before. So, but human intelligence, I think, will be dwarfed by machine intelligence. I'm not sure how to feel about that, except that it appears to be inevitable. That at some point, human intelligence will be a very small fraction of total intelligence. Digital intelligence will be more than 99% of all intelligence in the future. So hopefully the computers are nice to us. But I think
wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
I hope so. I think it matters how we bring up AI, because you can think of AI like a super genius child, but it still matters even if you have a super genius child. What sort of values do you instill in that child? What do you say that teach that? How do you, as a child's growing up, what values do you teach the child? And something that I think is extremely important is to be maximally truth-seeking. And I think that's in some sense, what's the most important thing for AI safety? I think it's to be maximally truth-seeking. And I think also curiosity is important. And I think if it's curious and truth-seeking, it will foster humanity, and because it would be curious about how humanity would develop. And so I think that then it would probably, if it's curious, it would be curious about, okay, let's see how the humans do. Let's foster their development. And if it's truth-seeking, we can avoid dystopian outcomes. An example being say when Google Gemini was programmed to make every output be diverse, even if it didn't match reality, so it was asked to produce an image of the founding fathers of the United States, and instead produced an image of a group of diverse women, which is factually untrue, But the problem is if hypothetically an AI is designed for DEI, diversity at all costs, it could decide that there are too many men in power and execute them. So problem solved. Or it could decide that that misgendering is the worst thing that could possibly happen. In fact, I believe, not to pick on Gemini, but I think because ChatGPT has had this issue too, is if you ask the AI which is worse, misgendering Caitlyn Jenner or global thermonuclear warfare, and it said misgendering Caitlyn Jenner, which is troubling. Because then it could decide, and in fact, even Caitlyn Jenner weighed in and said, "No, definitely misgender me. That's way better than nuclear war." But if you have these crazy things that are untruthful, that are programmed in, that don't reflect reality, then you could have a very dystopian outcome. To give you another example, Arthur C. Clarke, who is very good at predicting the future. He did 2001: Space Odyssey. many of the things he predicted, in fact, well, I think almost all the things he predicted came true. And one of the things he was trying to say in 2001 Space Odyssey was that you should not teach AIs to lie. So the reason that, if anyone's watched that movie, the reason the AI refused to open the pod bay doors to let the astronaut back in was because the AI had been told to take the astronauts to the monolith, this alien artifact, but also that they could not know about the monolith. So it came to the conclusion that it must take them there dead. And so that's why it wouldn't open the pod bay doors. The lesson there being is very important for AIs to be truth maximized.
最后，我来给大家简单讲讲被马斯克称为可以成为末世避难所的地下隧道。你知道吗？如果哪天发生大地震，最安全的地方居然是马斯克无聊公司的隧道。听起来有点魔幻，但马斯克的说法还真有点道理。因为地震主要影响地表，而地下反而很稳定。就像你在暴风雨里开船和待在潜水艇里的区别，水面翻江倒海，水下却稳得像开了降噪模式。历史上还真有这种案例，墨西哥城大地震的时候，地铁里的人安然无恙，因为地下几乎感受不到震动。更夸张的是，马斯克说，如果哪天真的爆发世界大战，躲在隧道里也许比躲哪儿都安全，妥妥的末日避难所。当然，隧道的好处不止这些，它还能解决城市里天天让人崩溃的塞车问题。毕竟我们的高楼大厦是 3D 的，但马路却还停留在2D 时代，结果就是人多车多，寸步难行。要解决这个问题有2个方案，一个是飞行车，二是地下隧道。飞行车的问题也不少，吵得要命，风大，还有东西从天上掉下来的风险，想想都后怕。而隧道呢，风平浪静，不怕下雨，不怕沙尘暴，也不用担心天上掉下来个炸弹砸到你车顶。今天的分享就到这里了，如果你还喜欢今天的主题，请记得点赞、订阅、转发，这样你就不会错过我未来关于美国经济、政治、科技的精彩内容了。感谢您的收看，下次见，拜拜。